Manchester City 4, Crystal Palace 2. A scoreline that doesn't really tell the full story of an incredible 90 minutes at the Etihad, Janusz Michallik. Where do you want to start with this one?
Yeah, there are 0 token points in this game and some other Premier League games. Are there? I mean, where do you start? I think just, overall, the quality of Manchester City, you have to say, right? I mean, I know you're going to throw me, all those stats that you've been working on in terms of them coming back in the games. But you have to look at, Crystal Palace have had fun at Manchester City, haven't they? 2-0 in 2021, 2-2 in 2020, 3-2 in 2018. Bit of a bogey team. And look at that. Look how it started, right? And no Wilf Zaha. At one point saying, Wilf Zaha for what? And you know how important he's been against Liverpool, that run from the midfield. Last game against Villa, a couple goals, and one of them, another run like that. And yet Crystal Palace were able to go ahead. But, there's not many teams out there that can come back so consistently. And where you trust that they have the quality, to come back. Have we talked about one Erling Haaland yet? No, maybe we'll get to him.
Yeah, we'll get to him in a second. But you mentioned about Manchester City's capability of coming back and bouncing back. That's 4 times now recently. They've been 2 goals down and haven't lost a game. What is it about their mentality? When they go 2 goals down, John Stones with the own goal and then Anderson with a super header. By the way, issues defensively for Manchester City from opposition set plays. Yet, I don't know if it's a mentality or what it is. They never know when they're beaten.
No, they don't. And obviously, they know they're good. Some teams just know they're good. And sometimes you come up short, right? Because you want to stay humble. You don't want to take things for granted. And I'm not saying they did. Quite right. I mean, 2 goals, an own goal, and both of them on set pieces. Anderson, a free header for the most part, surrounded by 3 Manchester City players. So I think Pep Guardiola will have plenty to talk about, because I don't think he wants to make that a habit, because eventually he's going to lose a game or 2. And if it's at an important time, of course, it's going to be costly. But in the end, you have the players that can get you out of it, right? Usually you look at Kevin De Bruyne, but today, I mean, how wonderful is Bernardo Silva? Bernardo Silva, still rumors about him possibly leaving, although I think Pep Guardiola has said that he's going absolutely nowhere. And I think you understand why. And the one mistake I felt maybe that they've made is never, ever not play Ilkay Gundogan. I still think he's such an important part. And of course, that allowed Bernardo Silva to go a little bit higher, because he was playing in the center of the in the midfield. But he's such a wonderful player. So once Gundogan came in, Bernardo Silva became even more important part of this team, and even better. So absolutely wonderful.
Well, Bernardo Silva pulled one back in the 53rd minute. That was Manchester City's first shot on goal. The second shot on goal was the equaliser just less than 10 minutes later. Erling Haaland got his first of 3. And watching this game, Janusz, he was just so frustrated at the lack of service for him. And then it just, in the blink of an eye, he's got himself a hat-trick, and he's a cheat code.
Yes, it's always going to be difficult. They still have to find a way. I don't even know if it's Manchester City having to find a way for Erling Haaland. I think it's the other way around. Erling Haaland's got to kind of get used to the fact that Manchester City are always going to dominate. More often than not, you're going to play against low-lying defense that's pretty much defending not just in their 18, but in their 6-yard box. And maybe that's why he scored, what you think, couple of tap-ins, right, on that far post, 2, 3 yards away. And I think he has to show patience, which he did, because for most of the game, you look at this game, you say he scored a hat trick. That's his 6th goal of the season already, by the way. And in all those games, this one included, Mark, it almost feels like there's still so much more to come. And if that's the case, which I think it is, it is frightening. You think of Sergio Aguero, who's done so much for this team and scored so many goals, I don't know, 184, maybe even more in a 10-year span. If Erling Haaland stays in Manchester City for that long, just imagine how many goals he's going to have. But it's a question of patience. I think he's going to have to readjust his game. This is not new. He may be thinking, well, there will be a space. And I think there will be space for him in some games, right? Where maybe the opposition is behind early, they have to open themselves up. That's usually the game where he'll thrive, because there's going to be some openings. But fear not, this is a spectacular player, and obviously already at a young age, top 3 in the world in terms of strikers, in my opinion.
Well, the biggest thing we learned today, when facing Manchester City, beware if you're leading by 2 goals against them.
Thanks so much for watching ESPN on YouTube. And for more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for premium content and live streaming, subscribe to ESPN Plus.